All right, so we're going to get started pretty soon here. So if my presidential candidates can come back. Thank you, Sarah Kate. Welcome. Hello, Annie. Thanks so much. All right, and my candidates here that are not my presidential candidates, y'all have the option to stay on. If you do stay on, just leave on your cameras, so it's not just a bunch of random profile photos. Obviously, you won't be asked questions during this, but that way people still know who you are and your lovely faces are there, or you can leave. But if you do stay, please do leave on your cameras. All right.
Sorry,
Yeah.
just I'm going to leave. I don't want to, just because I've got a little bit of homework that I've got to get done. So anyways, good luck, everyone. Hope you all do well.
Sounds great. Thank you, Max. Thanks for coming. All right.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just wanted to interrupt as well. Sorry, I will also be heading out because I have some homework to get done as well.
That is
Thank you so much again.
Homework is good. Excellent. Sounds great. And y'all can leave at any point. So don't worry about it, except the presidential candidates. You must stay. All right. Well, with that, we are going to go ahead and get started. Thank you so much again to everyone that is Zooming in live right now. It's really exciting to see so many of you, and I'm very excited for these candidates that we have, both amazing people and amazing future president of TWUSA, one of them. So that will be really awesome. I'm excited for you to get to know them. So we're just gonna, before we start into it, Danny, you prayed over the last debate section. Can I have you pray again for our new people coming in?
Yeah, it would be my honor. Dear God, I thank you for our two presidential candidates. I thank you for the amazing women that they are strong leaders who have a vision for TWUSA. I pray that you would be with them throughout this debate. I pray that you would give them wisdom and discernment to know what to say and how to say it, God. I pray that you would give them confidence that whatever next year holds, that you are with them and that you will use them for great things. I thank you for them, for the leadership and what they have done for this school already. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you so much, Danny. All right, so what we're going to do is, since there's two of you, I'm just going to go back and forth on who answers each question, not according to last name. We're just gonna flip-flop each way. So the first question, or before we begin, actually, how about you introduce yourself? You can say your year, your major, and you're running for president. So that you can even do where you're from if you really want to spice it up a bit. So let's start with Sarah Kate, and then we'll go on to Annie.
Hello again. So my name is Sarah Kate. I am a third-year art and design student, and I'm from Nova Scotia, which is a small province on the east coast of Canada.
So, thanks so much, Sarah Kate. Annie?
My name is Annie Zander. I'm a third year studying acting with a minor in history, and I am from Denver, Colorado.
Awesome. Thank you so much. All right, then with that, we're going to jump into our first question. So our first question is, what is your vision for TWUSA? And kind of a little bit of a follow-up to that question is, why is it, what is the best and most needed part of that? So let's start with Annie, and then we'll do Sarah Kate.
Yeah, thank you for the question. My vision for TWUSA ultimately is unity on campus, and through my platform, I'm doing this through goals to do this through inclusion, innovation, and advocacy. And I believe that this is more important than ever because of COVID and the way that we have been separated around the world and around across, not even just Canada, but there are people from all different time zones. And so I think unity in terms of what we believe in just community is really important. And then what was your part of your follow-up question? Can you repeat that part?
Yeah, of course. What's the best and most needed part of that vision?
Yeah, so I think it definitely is something I have felt this year and been very lucky to have a core group of small friends that I have been able to connect with. But through the inclusion and unity, I think the best part of it is Trinity is a rapidly growing international school, and I think that almost a third of our students are international, and I don't think that we have grown to recognize that as well. And I think, especially for me as a North American, a very Western view is I don't understand other people as well as I could, so I can connect with them. So a big part of what I want to do is grow our school's cultural intelligence in that way, to expand what we know about people and how we know it, and so that we can not just rely on others to reach out to us, but for us to include others the best that we can.
Thanks so much. All right, Sarah Kate, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Yeah, I think my vision for TWUSA goes along with loving God and loving others. I think when we do that well, everything else stems from that. So being inclusive, restoring our relationships with each other. I think that's something that we have seen become sorry. I want to see a campus that is loving each other, that is continuing to, yeah, I'm so sorry.
That's okay. If you want to just restart that little part, that's okay.
I can do that. I guess my vision is that everyone gets to be heard, that you're being understood. Yeah, I will leave it at that, as I will probably still be shaking.
All right, it's a scary experience. You guys are all doing great. We'll go ahead and go on to the next question. And then just a reminder to the audience, you can also be asking questions and sending them in, and I will make sure to ask our candidates those questions. Our next question is, TWUSA has 3 pillars, which are service, advocacy, and community, and those are a very important part of TWUSA. So what we want to know is, as president, how would you be promoting each of those each of those pillars? And again, that's service, advocacy, and community. And Sarah Kate, do you want to start us off, and then we'll go on to Annie?
I can start us off. I think so. Service, advocacy, and community. The role of TWUSA president is to be that collaborative team leader and work with the TWUSA team that you have to generate ideas and serve the students through being transparent about what TWUSA is actually doing, listening to understand what they need and want from TWUSA, and building community. I think this year has been hard for everyone. We're all online, so whether you're at school or you're on campus, or school or commuting, just utilizing the TWUSA team's ideas and thoughts and working together to create solutions for the student body, whether you live here or you live far away.
Awesome. Thank you so much. All right, Annie.
Yeah, I think that each pillar has its own important role, and that in a lot of ways they intersect. So as I go through kind of what I think of each one, I'm sorry if I kind of overlap, but I think that's the same thing as important. So for service, a lot of what I think in my campaign or my platform of innovation is equal accessibility to resources. So I think some of the other panelists mentioned this earlier in the evening, but the idea that sometimes you just don't know what resources are available and what you need. So I think we offer, as TWUSA, offer a lot of resources, and our goal, and the goal of president, is to be that keystone that allows the rest of the team to function in a certain way and to help guide the vision. And I think that making those kind of resources accessible and in one clear space, whether it be like in an online platform or we have a way of going about it where people can find those services way easier, is important. And then for community, a lot of what I've talked about is inclusion. And so I think a lot of what my goal is to bring the first step to a lot of inclusion is bringing awareness to the things that can separate us, or in order to bridge that gap, to fight against it on both sides. So I think with COVID, like, we've been spread out to the far reaches of the world, and that's amazing because we have such an international presence. But I think that it's been really hard this year. And I think as TWUSA, we've learned a lot. And serving on TWUSA this year, we've learned a lot about the new ways that are out there that we can reach those people and students. But I think that we're still learning and adapting in that way. And then for advocacy, I think a really important part of this is like seeking out what students need instead of just waiting for them to come to you. Because I know for myself, like having to seek, when I already admit to myself about I'm having an issue with something, like seeking out the people and having to jump through so many hoops to get to the right person can be really intimidating and scary. So it's seeking, like, Christ sought us out as people for us, and he didn't leave us on the sidelines. So I think that in that way, that's what I want to do as TWUSA president, is seek out those students who need it instead of waiting for them to come to me. So hopefully this includes like events and to just actually hear people and just make it like a same thing, like making easier access to resources so that they can find what they need with the easiest of access.
Awesome. Thank you so much to both of you. And just in case you're wondering why everyone is leaving, for those watching, we're just making it where it is our wonderful presidential candidate, so it's just a little less distracting. So that is why they're dropping like flies. All right. So the next question is, what is TWUSA in your own words? And then what is something that they do well, and what is something that they can improve on? And then let's start with Annie, and then we'll do Sarah Kate.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry, my light went off again, motion sensor in this room that I'm using. But I think that, in my own words, TWUSA is the representation of the student body. I think the unique thing is that we are basically a democracy. We elect people and candidates, both in faculty reps and executive reps, like we're all here to debate with tonight, to see like the people who our visions agree with the best, and then put the best foot forward so that they can represent us and have one solid unified voice when fighting for our needs, whether it's to university administration or making change on campus. So I think that's, in my words, really important part is TWUSA is the culmination of the student body and what they want and their needs. So, and then what TWUSA is doing well and improves upon, I think TWUSA has a lot of things that go on behind the scenes and a lot of good that they do every year, and they have become very structured and very awesome. And I think that in the next year, I think we have the opportunity to change some of the aspects of how TWUSA is seen by the student body. I think because of the way COVID has operated, TWUSA is not as public vision. And like, I think Ezekiel mentioned how a lot of first years haven't participated in these kind of the events that they normally do. And I think that the core of TWUSA is to serve the student body. It's not this, there's sometimes this idea that it's a popularity contest or some idea like that. And I think that first and foremost, like, you need to repeat and remember to yourself that it is not, and that it is, you need to repeat the narrative to your team, like throughout the year, that it is for, your goal is for the students. Your goal, you work for the students. You're not above them. You're not higher than them. And I remember coming to Trinity, to a new country without knowing anyone. And like, and I know it was like, TWUSA was super intimidating, and I only started hanging out there once I was elected as SEMC because I wanted to make change for my department, not because I was attached to TWUSA. And so that's how I've become an advocator through TWUSA, and I've started to love that. But I think that the repetition of our narratives is I think everyone comes in with grand ideas, and sometimes, like, especially this year with COVID, there's a lot of grace with ideas having to change, but sometimes I think we get all wrapped up in like the routine and the schoolwork, and we can lose sight of what our initial goals is and why we're elected. So I think repetition of the narrative is really important. And then on a personal note, quickly, I'm almost done, but for as an art student, I think, and Sarah Kate has a lot of this quality too, because it's amazing that we're both SAMC students and bringing that new aspect to TWUSA. But I think art more than anything teaches empathy, and I think that's something that TWUSA could use more of. Anyone can use always more of, and as well as the rest of TWU. So emphasizing that on a repeated basis, that we serve students, we don't serve ourselves. Thank you.
Thank you, Annie. And I'll just repeat the question, Sarah Kate, because I know it's been a little bit, but it is, what is TWUSA in your own words? And then what is one thing that it does well? And what is something that it can improve upon?
I think TWUSA is the voice for and all students. It is that representation of us as a student body and the seasons that we're walking through, and being the communicator to the Board of Governors and the school itself. I think similar to the Trinity Western mission statement, it exists to develop godly leaders, serving and loving God and others in the various marketplaces of life. And I think for us as students, our marketplaces in life right now are our relationships, our friendships, our studies, and yeah, just this season that we're in, navigating how to become the people in the marketplaces. I think one thing that TWUSA does really well is that they have a lot of initiatives, and the task forces and the teams that they have, they're always working on them, striving to make campus community life, the student community life, a better experience. I think what could be done more well is making it accessible to students, accessible in the sense I don't think many people know about it, and if we're going to be the voice for and of students, it's important that we work collaboratively and ask for input in these initiatives if it's for and of students. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, both of you. One thing that is important is one of our pillars, as we mentioned, is advocacy. And so what is one way that you will advocate for marginalized groups on and off campus? And we'll start with Annie, and then we'll do Sarah Kate.
Yes, thank you. So I've talked about this a little bit in some of my platform for those of you who've already seen it, but I think I've come into this year with a lot of, with everything that has happened in the world in the last year, I've been growing my own worldview a lot, and especially through Trinity, because of, especially like in terms of international students, I think that there are a lot of, there's a lot of disconnect there. So one of my main pillars of advocacy is reaching out to not just the students who don't fit in, but teaching them, or like the marginalized students, but teaching other people how to reach out. It's not just us, it's like us, as we represent the student body, so we should take the student body along with us when able to. So part of my ideas are creating workshops and public access to training programs that either we work with ICP or we have a lot of great professors who, like, their missions and goals is to teach that type of cultural training. And I think that that is an important part to have easy accessibility to, whether it's just posted on our website where you can see like, oh, this is this aspect of a culture, is how this culture is different. This is how we view this kind of thing. This is how you can connect with people who are from different places and different walks of life. And I think that is super important to highlight, just the just understanding for people and just knowing how they are, like people are. And I think advocating in that way is not just, so it's not just like fighting, like I think it's super important to advocate for one student at a time, but also as a group and like walking along. I think president is I can't fight your battles for you, but I can walk alongside you and do everything I can to get you connected to the right people and the right resources to make a real change in your life. So I hope that even though I'm not always the most educated on issues of marginalization or discrimination or anything like that, that I can be a person that can reach out and help educate myself and the rest of the student body to better include people that are on the outskirts of our culture.
Thank you, Annie. Sarah Kate?
Do you mind repeating the question?
Yes, I apologize. It is how I mentioned that one of the pillars of TWUSA, which both of y'all just talked about, is advocacy. And so what is one way, and then how will you advocate for marginalized groups on and off campus?
Yeah, advocacy is important, and I think it's important to realize or recognize that I am one human. I don't have all the answers or even all the ideas because I am one person with one experience of walk-in life. So I think it's important to really lean into people and listen to their stories, even their experiences, and I think humble ourselves in being able to understand where they're coming from. Yeah, there are a lot of groups on campus who are doing really amazing work. I think as TWUSA, it's important to connect students with those specific groups. I think even if we don't have the solution to changing that, advocating on behalf of a student and helping them find the right resources and the right people, is how TWUSA would be able to advocate on behalf of students.
Awesome. Thank you so much. The next question is specific to your experience and in your past. And so what would you say are the past experiences that have prepared you for this role of TWUSA president? So we will start with you, Sarah Kate, and then we will move on to Annie.
Thank you, Abby. From just going to Trinity, being able to serve on a love ministry and being on TWUSA last year as an events assistant, and this year serving with intercultural programs, ICP, as an assistant. All those experiences have been important models to how different leaders lead, and especially teams. And I think because my strengths are in empathy and positivity, and I enjoy leading teams and listening to people and hearing what they're passionate about and what their skill sets are in, and helping them achieve those goals. All these experiences put together, I think, are the seeds, and they are still growing and still developing. I think that those things all together have equipped me to grow even further in a team development role. But yes, I think also, I was going to also say, being an art and design student, I think Annie also has this, being able to come up with creative solutions. And I think intrinsically we're fairly lateral thinkers, so going about it in a ZMXYZ way instead of an ABCD way allows us to, I think, come at different challenges in a more abstract but equally as efficient and productive manner.
Thank you so much, Sarah Kate. And I'll just repeat the question again for you too, Annie. But is how has your past experiences prepared you for this role?
Yeah, thank you. So this last year I was elected as the SAMC representative for this year's TWUSA team. And so I think I've learned a lot this year and am passionate about what I'm doing. So like I'm sitting on committees now that I would sit on next year as president, such as doc review. And I think, I know exactly how TWUSA operates this year and have been a part of the team that has had to adapt and navigate through COVID. And so I know what TWUSA can and cannot do to the resources and like the creative like adaptation and like realizing that sometimes like your platform and things that like you really wanted to do, you have to adapt and change really quick to be made into a new form. And I think that's something. So I already know how to advocate from a position on TWUSA, and I've done so before for SAMC students. And so likewise, for the past 2 years, I've been the theater faculty's department TA. And so as part of this, I act kind of as the middleman between faculty members and students and bring up a lot of concerns in that way. So I think almost on a smaller scale, I have had experience in doing some of that sort of work and representation of the student body. And I guess going a little further back, I served as the vice president for my student council in high school and the student body president for a national psychology club at my community college. So I think in terms of that aspect of governments, I've had a lot of experience and things that prepared me for just like the nitty gritty parts of the role. And additionally, right now I am on the board of governors for a Christian nonprofit called Tiny Hands International Foundations, which fights to end human trafficking and the greatest injustices around the globe. And I've been really honored to learn about what they're doing and sit and like offer my own voice and contribution from my own perspective. And so I think that, and I've grown a lot in those ways. And I think I've been prepared in many ways to hopefully take on the challenges that a bigger role like president would have in this way. And then like also Sarah Kate mentioned, I think we just keep coming back to the amazing idea that we're both from SAMC and the School of Arts, Media and Culture. And so I think that there's been really great things that TWUSA has been doing the past 4 years in terms of what the presidents have brought. But I think that there's a lot of cool innovation that can be brought through the creative minds that both of us have. So even though I'm supposed to be talking myself up, I'm kind of talking both of us up. So I'm just happy that we're both in the position that we are right now.
Thank you so much. Awesome. Well, I think it's really important for presidential candidates to especially hear from the community. So fortunately, we have such a wonderful community that has been sending many questions. So everyone watching, if we don't get to your question, I'm so sorry, but both of these candidates have been doing Q&As throughout the week. And so if your question doesn't get answered, please do contact them because they'll get back to you and tell you more about what they stand for. So, or if you want them to go into more extent about their question, please do contact them. But one of them is specifically talking about spirituality. And it says, where do you see spirituality and faith fitting into TWUSA next year? How will it be integrated and promoted? And how do you feel that you will be able to lead as a Christian leader? So it's a lot of different questions in there, but let's have Annie go ahead and start. And then again, I can repeat it again for Sarah Kate.
Yeah, thank you for the question. I know that sometimes what we talk about in these debates are nitty gritty, so it's good to focus back onto why we're all here and to God and everything. So actually just before this debate started, I was reminded of the passage that was like, everything, like it's overwhelming this week. And the reason why I want to do leadership in this way is it's because I think in Romans 12, it talks about using your gifts for others and if you have a gift for leadership to take it seriously. And I think that I've been given that gift and I hope to flourish that and like my spirituality and the spirituality of others. And I think that everything we do for ultimately for God. And I think we fight for this student body and we advocate for them and serve them because it is such an amazing Christian world we're in. And I think that there can be sometimes where we focus more on our schoolwork and our academics, and sometimes spirituality can fall on the wayside. And I just think that I felt that this year, not necessarily like as a member of TWUSA, but just on my own spiritual life. I like a few weeks ago or over Christmas break, I realized how much that I just need to be fed spiritually. And I think that that's something I really want to build into a routine as a team, is just feeding each other spiritually, whether it's as a huge group or meeting one-on-one with each other and just praying and reading the Bible, or leading our own discipleship groups to grow that team. And then hopefully that will encourage us to be better leaders, to be Christ-like in all that we do for the student body.
Thank you so much. And I'll reiterate it again. Let me just go back to that. It's, where do you see spirituality and faith fitting into TWUSA next year? How will it be integrated and promoted? And how do you feel that you are able to lead as a Christian leader?
Thank you. I think because the calling on Christian lives, I find from me, the calling that God has on my life is to live in the calling that He has, which is to serve and love Him and love others. Because TWUSA is a part of a Christian university, I think the political, the business, it's important, and those are good things that God has given us. But I think what's going to set us apart is how we foster our relationships with Him, and how that spreads throughout our campus, through our friends, through our own lives, when we live in that space of leaning into Christ's character. We can talk about growth and vision, and these are beautiful things that God has given us. I think for TWUSA, we can plant seeds, we can advocate, we can provide services, and find solutions to recreate community that we've lost. But God's going to do the growing. I think we need to nurture the seeds. I like metaphors. that we plant on our campus, in our own lives, in our friendships, in our communities. Change is gonna happen when we lean into His word and foster that, and challenge one another to living a higher calling than the world asks us to.
Thank you so much. The next question is, you have talked about ways to connect to students with the wider community. So my question is, how would you connect and reach out to international students, specifically upperclassmen who have lived through the COVID situation away from their family and friends? And just a reminder, I think you might have just been messaged about this, but we do have a lot of questions to get through, and I want to honor everyone's time. So you guys will be limited to 1 minute, and I'm so sorry, but your mics will be muted if you go over. So we'll start with Sarah Kate.
Thank you for the question. I think that's a really important question to ask. I think as TWUSA, it's important to recognize that we have resources available to us through different departments on campus. So I think specifically to upperclassmen, and specifically to international student upperclassmen, I think partnering and working with, sorry, that would be the door. Working and partnering with TW Global and the Global Engagement Office, where they do have resources and knowledge and ideas, and to partner with them to listen and understand what your needs are, but ultimately striving to listen and understand what what support you need from us. So reaching out.
Awesome. Thanks so much. Annie, do you want me to repeat the question for you?
Yes, please. Thank you.
It says, you've talked about ways to connect with students in the wider community. So my question is, how will you connect and reach out to international students, specifically upperclassmen who have lived through the COVID situation away from their family and friends?
Yes, this is a great question. Though I may not live as far as some people are, I especially feel that through COVID this year, I have felt, I think, the same degree of separation because even though it seems like I might be closer just across the border in the States, this year I'm really not because I can't go back. So I think that this idea of like really pushing into community and especially like the international community, I think that it's so beautiful that we have this, we can't travel, but we have the ability to learn about other cultures in our own backyard and through our international students. And I think that hopefully through methods of like, I think TWUSA is only one part of a whole, and the whole is the whole of Trinity, right? And so I hope that by advocating for just changes, and if it is like an issue, because that is not one I had specifically thought of, then that is one that I can help reach out to other people with and get you the right resources.
Thank you so much. All right. The next question is, I would say that we have drawn many similarities between the two of your platforms and skill sets. What would you say sets you apart from the other? And so we will have Sarah Kate answer, we'll have Annie answer this one first, and then Sarah Kate.
Oh, this one's hard. I will try my best to answer it. I love Sarah Kate, so I think that trying to set myself apart is hard. But however, I think through my specific education-wise, through acting and history, I think it gives me a really unique perspective into stepping into the shoes of others. And empathy, I think, in part of acting is one of our biggest rules is you cannot judge your character no matter where they come from, good or bad. And I think that through that, I think I've learned, and I just feel so strongly for empathy and communicating with others on a scale where they're the most comfortable. I don't care how uncomfortable I am in a situation or how wrong I could be, as long as I can be helping others. And I'm not saying that Sarah Kate is not the same way, but I think that that's what I feel very strongly about, that at least sets me apart from a lot of people. So yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with Annie. I think similarly, we both have very strong empathy personalities. I think what would set me apart, not saying that Annie doesn't have this, but what would set me apart is I think I've learned, especially these last 3 years, is you can listen to understand people and not compromise your own beliefs for that. I think that's especially important for me because I am someone who is naturally, I think, able to listen and understand where people are coming from because I'm empathetic. But that doesn't mean you have to compromise your values.
Thank you so much. All right, we have a couple more questions. This one is, what have been your specific contributions and successes in your leadership roles this year? And we will start with Annie, and then, no, I'm so sorry, we will start with Sarah Kate. There's only two of you. I don't know why I keep getting this mixed up. We'll start with Sarah Kate, and then we will do Annie.
Thank you. Specifically to this year, so I'm serving with ICP, intercultural programs, as an assistant. So a lot of that role has to do with delegation and team management with an entire team, as well as we call them programmers, as a smaller team within the larger whole. And I think it's given me the opportunity to partner with other organizations on campus and manage those teams as well, but to enjoy listening to other people's ideas and collaboratively work towards goals and initiatives that we're doing this year. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Annie, would you like me to repeat the question?
Yes, please.
Awesome. What have been your specific contributions and successes in your leadership roles this year?
Yes, thank you. As SAMC rep this year, I think a lot of the stuff I've done is kind of more behind the scenes instead of like public events kind of thing because of COVID. I have done a lot of change, I believe, in the TWUSA team itself in terms of I'm part of the doc review committee, which we go through all the documents in our governing documents and look at what is important to change and adapt. And I think that there are some really great changes we've made this year and are still continuing to make that I've contributed greatly towards in terms of restructuring and bettering the structure of our team and how TWUSA operates. And additionally, as SAMC rep specifically, there are some students I've advocated for behind the scenes and are continuing to and setting up meetings to discuss issues that SAMC feels as a greater community through surveys and one-on-one conversations with both people in administration and students themselves. So in those ways, I feel very successful.
Thank you so much, both of you, for that answering that question. We have so many questions coming in, which is really exciting. But this one is, how will you improve the lives of queer students and confront homophobia at TWU? And then will you support one TWU? And then we'll do Annie and then go on to Sarah Kate.
Yeah, thank you for the question. I think this is an important one to address and it can kind of tiptoe around it, but I think that important thing is I don't believe in discrimination of any sort or kind. And so a part of my platform is bringing awareness to what makes us different in order to, or not necessarily like separates us, but that makes us unique. And sometimes I think that there's a lot of judgment that people of, no matter what you believe, that people in the LGBTQ plus community can be not be Christians and be part of who they are. And so I think that just bringing awareness to their lives and stuff. And I think that even though as Trinity and as Christians, like our views can be different sometimes, I think that inclusion is the most important thing and that I'm here for you as your representative, not to judge, but to welcome and help you along the way.
Thank you. Sarah Kate, would you like me to repeat the question?
That's okay. I think I just brought it up so I can see it. Yeah, this is a great question, and I think it is important to recognize that that's not my experience or walk of life. So how would I improve the lives of queer students? I don't know if TWUSA can necessarily improve the lives of queer students, but I think it can be a place where you are heard and you are listened to, and make strides to come up with solutions to how you need to be best supported, because it's not my experience. I can't necessarily say this is one way where you need to be supported. Thank you.
Thank you so much. This is the last question we'll go over, but again, I want to reiterate, please do ask Annie and Sarah Kate questions throughout the week. You still have a couple more days and they have so much to offer this community, so I want you to have the opportunity to interact with them in that way. But I like this one. It's a little spicy. And it says, many people over the years have lost the hope that they once had for the candidates they elected due to their false promises and ineffective representation. How will you, as TWUSA president, reignite our hope in TWUSA? So we will start with Sarah Kate, and then we will go on to Annie.
Thank you. And I think that is a really great question. I think especially since going away from TWUSA, but in the larger political world, we've seen a lot of false promises made. And so how would I like to reignite? Our hope in TWUSA is if anyone has heard of SMART goals, I have just heard of SMART goals. I think it's important to have those short-term tangible goals. So then you can measure what you're doing. I think too, I don't want to make any promises that I can't keep. I don't think anyone wants to, but the reality is that if you say something, you're most likely going to have to keep your promise. So my one promise is to be available to you, to listen, to understand, and just be present to whatever capacity that you have thoughts, comments, concerns, ideas to how to have a better campus or student experience. Yes, thank you.
Thanks so much, Sarah Kate. Annie, would you like a repeat of the question?
Might as well, so I know exactly what I'm answering.
Sure. Many people over the years have lost hope they once had for the candidate they elected due to their false promises and ineffective representation. How will you, as TWUSA president, reignite our hope in TWUSA?
Thank you. Yeah, I think right off the bat, it's important to recognize that while TWUSA is a great platform, what we can do is not necessarily limited, but there's a lot of hoops we have to jump through. So I think that we have to take small steps, and each of us are only in a position for 1 year at a time, so we build on what other people have done. And I think in a lot of ways, we have to focus on that. But I think what I really pride myself in is being both a visionary and realistic. And so I think that there's a lot of traditional things that TWUSA has done very well, and there's traditional events and the things that we do every year. But I think just because we do something doesn't mean we need to do. Just because we've traditionally done something doesn't mean that it's what we always should continue to do. So I hope that through change, and even if things adapt and change, and for some reason, like some of the promises I make this year, and if I get elected, that don't happen, that I give you a clear reason why they didn't happen, and it wasn't as in that a plan for move forward that with the heart of what that mission was, without compromising what you've been promised.
Thank you so much. All right, and the time has flown by. So I will give you all both the opportunity to make your closing remarks, and you will have 1 minute to make those remarks. So we will start with Annie, and then we will go on to Sarah Kate.
Yes, I just want to thank everyone for sticking around and for answering or asking these questions for us to answer. I'm super honored to be given this position of representing you as a student body, and I just thank you for your grace as you walk alongside me. I'm not any better than any of you guys. I'm just a student, and I just have a passion for standing up for people and advocating and telling other people's stories. And that is something I am passionate of doing through my art, and I have learned that I'm passionate doing through TWUSA this last year. And I really hope that even if something in my platform, you've noticed something missing, that you have the courage and I'm approachable enough for you to reach out to me. And if I'm not, I'd also like you to tell me that I'm not approachable so that I can fix that in any way I can. So, but I'm always open to hear your ideas and concerns. So please let me know. I think they said our social media apps and everything are on the TWUSA Instagram. So please reach out to me.
Thank you so much, Sarah Kate.
I also wanted to kindly thank all of you for joining us on Zoom. It's another Zoom activity, so thank you for sticking around and hearing us out. I think, you should ask yourself, what is the culture that you would like to walk in personally, what you would like to see campus community look like, what you'd like to see from as your student experience, how can it be improved? I just wanted to say that if you believe that the future of TWUSA is ministry-based collaborative leadership, then that is kind of where I would be heading if I were to be elected. But thank you so much. It's late. I hope, thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much to both our candidates. I'm glad that you are all getting to know both of them because they're both wonderful people, and I'm excited for what this week holds for them and for the future of TWUSA. And sorry, Danny, to put you on the spot, but is there anything you would like to say?
Yeah, nothing but to encourage all of you to keep following the candidates' platforms. It takes a lot of effort and time to run an election and to campaign. So congrats to all the candidates for making that effort. It's a sacrifice and it's a service to the student body. So yeah, just follow them on their platforms, and don't forget that next week voting opens. Abby can give more of the details of that, but you should also watch the candidates' speeches next week as well.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Danny. Yes, we will be releasing more information on our social media as TWUSA, but speeches will be live streamed on the 10th. So please come and watch those. And that will be for the presidential candidates as well as for our executive candidates we had earlier. So make sure to vote. It's very important for our TWUSA community. And with that, I'm going to say goodbye to all of our candidates and to Danny as well. So thank you so much, everybody, for coming. Again, follow their social media, ask them questions. They have some wonderful, brilliant ideas. So I'm looking forward for you getting to know them. Goodbye, everybody.